BionicDance is filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Are you more valuable than a dog, or a cat, or for that matter, a tree?
No one is worth more than my kitty. No one. Let's do this. Greetings, fellow space travelers. BionicDance here. Denny Prager's at it again. The part I don't get is how his god, who allegedly values humility, apparently doesn't mind his followers going around saying they're his chosen people and how much better they are than Earth's non-human population. Not that his religion isn't a massive exercise in contradiction. It's the fact that they don't seem to notice it that's rather odd.
One of the biggest differences between Judeo-Christian values and secular values concerns this very issue, the worth of the human being. According to the Judeo-Christian value system, human beings are infinitely valuable.
Which totally explains the execution of those accused of witchcraft and holy wars, the amount of killing done in his religion's name. Like I said, an exercise in contradiction.
On the other hand, secular humanism devalues the worth of humans. As ironic as it may sound, the God-based Judeo-Christian value system renders humans infinitely more valuable than any humanistic value system.
Humanism and secular humanism are not the same thing. Secular humanism is the philosophical stance that morality is possible without God. Humanism is advocacy of reason over blind submission to tradition or authority. And Denny here seems to think that the name has far more relevance than the actual stance advocated. That's the logical fallacy of equivocation. And if Denny were as educated as he would have us believe, he'd know that. Or he does know it, and is counting on his audience to not.
If there is no God, human beings are only material beings, and therefore not worth anything beyond the matter of which they are composed.
Is that really the only way to measure worth or value? Of course it isn't. Value is relative. What good is a millionaire's worth of money in the currency of a country that doesn't exist anymore? Where would you spend it? Would you rather have a cherished heirloom or a life preserver when stranded in the ocean? Who would you save from a burning building? Your best friend or the convicted felon you don't know? What if your friend is a felon and the other person is just an innocent stranger? And would the person next to you save your friend or the stranger if that relationship were reversed and your friend was the one they didn't know? There's no such thing as inherent worth. No matter how you might feel about it, value is an opinion, a perspective, a relative measure.
But in the Judeo-Christian system, human beings are created in the image of God, meaning that human life is sacred. In other words, we are either created in the image of carbon atoms, and therefore not worth much more than carbon, or we are created in the image of God, and therefore infinitely valuable.
This is another case of a theist seeing only two possibilities where there are more and assigning the one they think is ludicrous to the other side. It's much like their arguments against evolution, where the only possibilities they can see are created by God versus complete and total random accident. There are more factors to what a human is worth than just what they're made of. Family and friends are inevitably worth more than strangers. You might claim otherwise, but I won't believe you. The people you've spent time with, gotten to know, learned to love, are they really worth the same to you as everybody else? Or is this a case of everybody being worth the same because God said so and to fuckery with every other factor?
Our secular post-Judeo-Christian society has rendered human beings less significant than at any time in Western history. First, the secular denial that human beings are created in God's image has led to humans increasingly being equated with animals.
Humans are animals. Deny it all you like, but the biology is clear. Human beings are not fundamentally different from other terrestrial animal life. This insistence that there is more seems based in ego rather than reality. And reality should not only matter more than your self-worth, but should in fact be a major factor in it.
That's why, over the course of 30 years of asking high school and college students if they would first try to save their dog or a stranger, 2/3 have always voted against the person. They either don't know what they would do, or they actually vote for the dog. And many adults now vote similarly. Why? There are two reasons.
And here comes the part where we get told what we think, the inevitable straw man argument. Newsflash, buddy. We tell you our reasons, not the other way around.
One is that with the denial of the authority of higher values, such as religious teachings, people increasingly make moral decisions on the basis of how they feel. And since just about everybody feels more for their dog than for a stranger, many people simply choose the dog.
I can't imagine morality and ethics coming from any other place. If some authority or other orders you to kill and that totally squeaks you out, do you still do it? The Judeo-Christian God orders killings more than once in his instruction book. Deuteronomy 17:5, in no uncertain terms, tells you to stone infidels to death. And Deuteronomy 17:8 through 9. In Numbers 31, God commands killing men, women, and male children of a rival kingdom, but keep the virgins for fucking privileges. God said so. Does that mean you would do it? Just because God told you to? Or would some part of you go, nah, that sounds kind of nasty. I think I'll give it a miss. If you don't get your morals and ethics from how you feel, you can easily be led to places you'd rather not go. I think the main reason people will advocate morals and values based on authority or tradition is having the emotional security of knowing everybody is following the same rulebook, no ambiguity, a reference guide against which you can check behavior. I could be wrong, but that's what experience and observation have led me to find most likely.
The other reason is that once you get rid of Judeo-Christian values, there's no reason for elevating human worth over that of an animal.
No reason. No reason at all. That's just not true. There's simply no mandate to value human life over non-human. But that doesn't mean one cannot decide to value humans more. Like Denny said, feelings can dictate morality, and there is nothing preventing finding human life more valuable, and many reasons it could happen even without biblical teachings. This notion that there's no reason is ludicrous. Denny just can't imagine a reason. And I wonder, is this saying something about what he'd do without his religion?
That's why people estranged from Judeo-Christian values, including many Jews and Christians, support programs such as Holocaust on Your Plate. Holocaust on Your Plate is a campaign developed by the animal rights group People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA, that teaches that there is no difference between the barbecuing of chickens in America and the burning of Jews in the Holocaust. Why? Because a human and a chicken are of equal worth.
And they're welcome to feel that way if they like. That's their ethics. I don't agree, but my disagreement doesn't come from anywhere but how I feel. I wouldn't take my kitty and grill her up for dinner the way I might a chicken. Why? Because I can relate to her in ways I couldn't with the chicken. We've bonded. We're friends. She's sat on my lap and purred. She's given me kitty headbutts, and I've given her chin scritchies. I love my kitty. I don't think I could ever have a similar relationship with a chicken. I'm not sure they're equipped with enough intelligence to form that kind of bond. I value their lives less as a result. It's not from some authority figure that decreed that cats are higher beings than chickens. It's because of how I feel about my little kittykins. And there's nothing wrong with that.
So too, in a notorious Tucson, Arizona case, a woman screamed to firefighters that her 3 babies were in the burning house. Thinking that the woman's children were trapped inside, the firefighters risked their lives to save the woman's 3 cats.
Which they, shouldn't have bothered doing? Were those cats' lives completely worthless? They're not human, just let 'em burn. Are you really saying you should let this adorableness die just because there might be some risk involved in a rescue? How heartless and unfeeling can you be?
If you think these 2 examples are either just theoretical, the dog stranger question, or extreme, the Tucson mother of cats, here's an issue that is neither theoretical nor extreme. More and more people believe, as PETA does, that even if it would lead to a cure for cancer or AIDS, it would be wrong to experiment on animals. In fact, many animal rights advocates believe that even to save a human life, it would be wrong to kill a pig to obtain a heart valve.
Many is a very ambiguous term. There's no reference to the source of Denny's demographics. Looking it up, a Gallup poll shows that 62% believe animals deserve some protection, but can still be used for the benefit of humans. Only 32% say non-humans should have the same rights. And hey, it might not even be necessary soon anyway. Apparently we're finding new ways to test medicines that won't involve non-human life. Not to mention food. Killing a thinking, feeling being is soon to be a thing of the past when it comes to having that steak. So quit your bitchin'.
The 20th century showed vividly what happens to human worth when Judeo-Christian values are abandoned. Nazi Germany and the various communist regimes all rejected Judeo-Christian values and ended up slaughtering the largest number of people in human history.
Another desperate attempt to divorce Christianity from Nazism. But as I pointed out, the Bible does a lot of telling people to kill the infidels. If anything, the Nazis were more Christian than Denny and his pals. This is obviously a source of great cognitive dissonance for them and their all-sweetness and light vision of their religion, but you cannot escape the truth without embracing lies.
Meanwhile, human slavery was abolished only in the Judeo-Christian world.
Wow, I think he actually believes that. But let's do a little comparison, shall we? Let's first look at the most religious states in the U.S., and then let's contrast that with the states that not only had slavery, but got grumpy enough to start shooting at people to keep it. I don't know about you, but I'm noticing a trend here. The fact is that slavery was abolished in spite of Christianity, not because of it.
And of course, for nearly all those who reject Judeo-Christian values, the human fetus is worthless, if its mother deems it so.
Before a certain point, it's an unthinking, unfeeling lump of flesh. It's not a person, because to be a person it requires a personality, a self-awareness, and that requires a brain that simply hasn't developed yet. It's only after that point, when it could be related to at least as well as my cat, that I would be against abortion. The life, health, and happiness of the pregnant woman is simply worth more than an undeveloped vegetable that couldn't survive outside the womb.
Finally, there is an increasingly vocal part of the environmentalist movement that also denigrates human worth. For these individuals, the human being is not infinitely precious. Trees and rivers and mountains are.
To say that other things have equal value is not denigrating human worth. This is the same kind of I'm better than you thinking that fuels bigoted white supremacist movements that see equality as making them worth less instead of superior. Being told you're equal is not an insult. And if you truly value human life, then trees, rivers, and the rest of nature should matter to you. Humanity depends on all of those things to live. It's the plants that convert carbon dioxide into oxygen and on which we and our livestock can feed. Unpolluted drinking water keeps all of the above from getting slabbed before their time. If human lives matter, then maintaining all of those things which keep humans alive ought to be something championed, rather than being eye-roll fodder.
So, are you more valuable than a dog or a cat or a tree? That depends on your value system.
And I suspect that what's really going on here is that he's both insulted and frightened at the notion that his own value system isn't absolute. He may not say it, but it's certainly the impression he's managed to convey. But you, I, and everyone else are only worth what we can get on the social marketplace, whether the currency is love, friendship, or respect. And some of us are deeply in debt, meaning hatred, rivalry, and ridicule. And much like any other market, you have to spend money to make money. The more you give, the more you earn. But value is never inherent or absolute. By its very nature, it can't be. Until next time, fellow space travelers, this is BionicDance saying don't run on automatic. Instead, please think.
Help.